This podcast is a proud member of the Unidentified Network.
On the Track is a monthly web TV show about cryptozoology, natural history, green issues and whatever else the team feel like making up as they go along. Enjoy!
So what have we got exciting that's coming up in this episode, Mr. John?
Well, Hennis, in this episode we go back to Loch Ness with Ian Scribbs, and there's more stuff as well, but you're just going to have to wait and see.
I really like the old credits.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs, and I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and welcome to another episode. Hang on, something very peculiar is over there. Something very, I don't know what it is.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the BBC's Artsy Smug programme, the weekly roundup of the very best in cutting-edge modern artistry with me, Digby Elm. Tonight, once again, one is honoured and so privileged to bring you a heartfelt performance by that wonderful, extraordinary young Japanese lady, the genius who really captures the shiny zeitgeist of contemporary Britannia with her beautiful interpretations of classic British songwriting. Yes, it's Big A, Little A with the indefatigable Yoni Egg.
Little A bouncing bee, the system may get you, then it won't get me. Big A, little A bouncing bee, the cat's in the cupboard, but it won't get me. Big A, little A bouncing bee, the system may have got you, as it won't get me. It's all control, you're gonna let them get you. Do you wanna be a prisoner in the boundaries that they set you? You say you wanna be yourself, but Christ ain't gonna let you. They're out to get you, get you, get you, get you, get you, get you. Big A, little A bouncing bee, the system may have got you, but it won't get me.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that performance by dear sweet Yoni Egg was absolutely adorable. But now, on with the show. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of an organisation called the Centre for Fortean Zoology. And welcome to another episode of On the Track. For those of you who don't know, every Wednesday evening at about 6:30 for, I don't know, something like 15 minutes, and every Saturday afternoon at 3 for about twice that, we bring you a miscellany, a melange, a marshland, I don't know. Lauren, what begins with M?
Mars bar, of course.
Yeah, Mars bar, that's a good one. I can work with that. It certainly worked for Marianne Faithfull. A Mars bar of hard science, weird shit and surreality. And what's surreality? Well, we'd better go and ask him.
Why would I know what surreality is? My name's Richard III and I'm buried under a car park in Leicester.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, now we've had all the introductory messing about out of the way, I want to take you over to Florida, where we are going to be chatting to old friend of the show, Katy Elizabeth, who's just about to go up for another visit to Lake Champlain, where she is almost certainly the world's most renowned lake monster researcher.
I'm just like so that whole editing that video thing that burnt me out.
I'm not surprised. It was a magnificent piece of work. I'm going to show it to the viewers before I post this interview, so I'm going to put it in as part of the interview.
Oh, awesome. I really appreciate that. Yay.
It was approaching 11 o'clock at night, and I was playing my guitar on the porch here. And it was a quiet night. The lake was as calm as glass, no wind. It was just a beautiful night, and I was playing my acoustic guitar with a special tuning that makes the guitar sound like a sitar. And so, and there was a droning, which is what the tuning does, and that was obviously carrying on the lake. And all of a sudden, I heard this tremendous splash. Like nothing I had ever heard before on the lake here. I mean, I've heard bass jump and slap down. This was much, much larger of a splash. So I knew that this was most likely Champ, because I couldn't imagine what else it could have been. So I went into the camp and I grabbed my flashlight, and there was a camera right next to it, which I put around my neck. And this was 1993, so it wasn't the cell phone era. This was one of those cameras where you had to take the film to the pharmacy, you know, to be developed. And so I started working my way down with my flashlight. So I was walking down this path. It used to be a path instead of stairs, and I'm walking down with my flashlight, and I couldn't see anything because it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just focusing on getting down there. And so I get to the bottom, and I ended up over here in these boulders, which is where the path ended. And now at night, when you shine a flashlight out, you don't see anything unless you actually hit something like a boat on a mooring, or it illuminates the boat. Or we had a swimming raft. If you hit a swimming raft with the flashlight, it illuminates the raft. So you could see that very well. The first thing I noticed when I shined the light out was right at about 40 feet away was this humongous creature. And if I put my fingers together to show the size of the neck, it doesn't do it justice. It would have been much, much bigger. And then there was a head, which was also quite large. And the eye was illuminated by the flashlight. The eye was about this big. And so it was quite a striking creature. And it was looking at me. It was as if it had maybe heard my guitar playing and was curious, did a humongous splash, and just waited for me to come down the path. And there it was. And it was moving very, very gently, without any kind of motion in the water. It was moving this way, and then maybe 10, 15 feet that way. And then as I was following it that way, I noticed that same color eye, which was like a yellowish green. I noticed another one very, very close to the water, and it was very small, but it was the same color. And sure enough, there was a baby with it. So I assumed this was the mother. That's the baby. Now, while the mother was very graceful in the water, and I noticed no motion, and yet it was moving very slowly, and the baby was doing this, trying to kind of keep up. And it was very cute, the little baby. And I did notice flippers coming off of either side. So it was a little neck with a head and a little tiny eye, same greenish yellow color, and went into the water, and I noticed flippers. I didn't see any of the body from the mother. The mother had turned around when I was looking at the baby and was now going back the other direction, and it was just sitting there sizing me up and looking at me and taking in everything that it could find out about me. And then I went and looked at the baby again, and again it was trying to kind of keep up with the mother. And then when I went back, the mother had turned around. Every time I looked at the baby, the mother would turn around. So we just looked at each other for the longest time. And it started at 11 o'clock. And every time I looked at the baby, the mother would turn around and be going the other way, looking at me with its big eye. Now I remember the look in its eye was kind of scary. I remember it looked very much like a survivor. It looked very serious about survival, and it was not cute. It had bumps on its face, kind of like a bulldog would have, and then the nose had a little dip to it at the end, just like a camel. It had camel features, and resembled a camel very much, although the head was so much bigger, and similar in size to the neck. There was, the two coincided in terms of thickness, and that's all I saw was the head and the neck. And then I remembered that I had a camera, but before I could do anything with the camera, I was looking at it with the flashlight, and this is the only time I saw it turn around. It turned around towards me, and now I could see both eyes looking at me, and it was so close. We had a swimming raft at the time, and our swimming raft was in the same place that everybody puts their swimming raft. Not too far out, not too close in. And it was inside of the swimming raft. So that's how close it was. And I'd say about 40 feet away, give or take a few feet. And when it turned around towards me, I got really scared. The adrenaline was already pumping. It was looking at me, and I thought it was going to come towards me. So I moved back, and I tripped on one of these boulders, and I fell over and fell into the shale rock. Thank God I didn't hit my head on a rock. And I got up and I looked, and really all it had been doing was turning around like it had been doing all along. It wasn't coming towards me. And I just watched it for a while. And again, I was thinking, I've got a camera. So we're about 15 minutes into the sighting. It was the same sighting the whole time. The creature looking at me and just checking me out, and always keeping its eyes on me. So I thought, I'm going to try to get a picture of this. So I put on the little switch that charges the flash, which I think was a big mistake, because once the flash booted up, there was an orange light in my eye, and as the creature moved back and forth very gently, I was trying to get the best picture I could instead of just clicking away, which I should have been doing. And I finally just figured I'm just going to take a stab at it and take a picture. And when I put the camera down, it was gone. It took that opportunity. I had put the flashlight down to take the picture, and it took the opportunity. Too much was going on that was different all of a sudden. Me fumbling with the camera, me putting down the flashlight, and it decided it's time to leave. And the last I saw, it was heading south. And it was interesting to note that that was about 11:15. At 11:30, down by the bridge, a woman saw the mother and the baby, and it had originally heard a huge splash. So that was kind of cool that two people saw the same exact thing on the same night. I was terrified because of the size of this creature, the look in its eye, and how close it was to me. So it was scary. I was terrified. But there was half of me that was just looking at this creature as a majestic thing that people don't see every day. And I just felt like I've heard so much about Champ all my life, and here I am, blessed with the experience of actually being one of the few people that actually get to see it. And so, but there's multiple levels of this sighting. On another level, it was an interactive sighting. A lot of people see Champ go by, they see humps, they may see a neck and head, they see it go by. But in this case, this creature was literally waiting for me to come down the path and wanted to just watch me and check me out. And I feel like that was an extra special thing about this sighting. So, and you know, there are people that say they think there's only one that got stuck in the lake over time, and it's been living here over hundreds of years. To see a baby really shows what I believed in the first place, that they're mating and they're procreating, and there's a family of them at any given time. And what I saw proves that.
Resolved. A resolution protecting Champ. Whereas the Lake Champlain monsters, known as Champ, have been inhabiting the waters of Lake Champlain for many years, and whereas the existence of Champs has been documented by many of our North Country residents over the years, including both visual and audio evidence. Whereas all endangered species are entitled to protection under both federal and New York state laws, and whereas Champs are apparently one of a kind, hence their protection from harm and harassment is vital. Now therefore be it resolved that all the waters of Lake Champlain, which adjoin Port Henry and Moriah, are hereby declared off limits to anyone who would in any way harm, harass, or destroy the creatures known as Champ.
So, Katie, my beloved, my sweet girl, you're off to the lake again in 3 days, is it?
I will be off to the lake. Let's see, what is today?
Today's
29.
Monday, the
It'll be about 6 days.
So how long are you staying up there?
I will be there about a little over a week.
And what have you got planned? Anything special?
So basically to go out on the research vessel, the last time we ran into a few issues because of the weather. It rained most of the time. And then what had happened was my ignition switch in the boat had to be replaced. It was an unexpected thing, which always happens with boats. Oh, Tootsie wanted to come up to say
Hi,
hi.
Tootsie.
Here she is. She always has to let everybody know that she's around. So yeah, we had to replace the ignition switch on the boat, which was an unexpected thing. And there's always something with boats. You never know what's going to happen when you have a boat. It's not like going out to look for Sasquatch where you just go out and take a walk in the woods and set up game cameras and go hiking. It involves so much more than that. There's so much equipment, the sonar that hooks up to the battery and trying to see if that's working. Everything is so mechanical and the wiring and such. And over the winter time, sometimes things can get wet and corrode, and there's all kinds of things that can go wrong. So the good thing is that going back, everything is all set with Kelpie 2, and we're going to be getting out there and getting some really good work done. Sonar scans, hydrophone recordings. Hopefully, we will get some recordings out there. Trying to think. We do have our new ROV, which goes down to 350 feet, which I'm really excited about this particular model because it has a virtual reality headset. So wherever you turn your head, the ROV goes in that direction. So that's going to be really, really amazing to have that perspective right in your face, so to speak.
How
But
much does
if
that cost? I've never heard of that.
it was a little expensive, let's put it that way. Um, it was it was more than $2,000, let's put it that way.
Dollar.
But this is another reason why I think over the years that a lot of lake monster researchers have not had boats and not had all these pieces of equipment. It's just terribly expensive, and I've worked really, really hard to get all these pieces of equipment to further the search. And it's and then once you get the pieces of equipment, you have to upkeep the equipment. And that's the hard part too, because nothing's foolproof. Then you have to learn the equipment. So with this new ROV, I'm not perfect at maneuvering it either. So I'm learning that as well. So there's always a learning perspective to everything that you get that's new. I have a drone that's totally waterproof. So you can fly it out to said location and drop it right into the water. And it has the camera right on that. So say if you see something out in the bay and you want to get out to it, you can fly right out to that point and drop it right down and see underwater as well. So that's amazing. But the key is, I mean, what are the chances you're really going to get the drone there quick enough? But you never know. So it's definitely a useful tool to even get up there in the sky and look down and get that sort of um, vantage point up high. So I think it's going to be really valuable. I've used drones before, but I was always really nervous about flying them over the water because they were super expensive and they weren't waterproof. And I'm like, oh geez, there goes, $400 to $600 down the drain that I just crashed into the lake. So
You just thought, with the popularity of drones these days, that someone would have made a waterproof one.
yeah, you would think. This drone is by Swell Pro, a company that they have several models available, and some people actually use them for fishing, which is pretty cool. So they'll take their fishing line and they'll put the bait on it, and attach it. There's a payload arm, which is really, really neat. They'll attach the line and the bait to it and fly the drone out, drop the bait down, and then fly it back, and then reel said fish in. But I mean, they've caught some really, really big sharks and stuff doing it that way because they could put it way, way out without needing a boat, which is really, really cool for people that want to fish from shore that don't have access to a boat and want to get their line way, way out off of shore.
The 21st century really has arrived now, hasn't it?
That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, imagine our grandparents, they would be like, you got to be kidding me, the stuff that they're coming out with nowadays.
Well, even, I mean, I've been running the CFZ, what, 32 years now. And 32 years ago, if you'd told me about a virtual reality ROV and a way of fishing with a drone that can fly way out to sea and drop the bait in front of a shark, that's science fiction stuff. And I'm still getting my head around it.
It's craziness. I mean, we definitely have an advantage now for Bigfoot research, lake monster research. It's definitely helped. It's not, how do I put it? I mean, we do have the video sonar, which really was valuable, especially in 2022 when I got that really amazing video that you did show on the show here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this year we'll get something else, hopefully two of them into view. That would be amazing as well. Like we got the still shots in 2019 of two individuals together. So I'm hoping we can get that on video this time of the same two again, but not still shots, just video of them swimming around. So that would be really, really amazing this year. With the ROV, a video of them swimming up to the ROV, that would be amazing. But I don't know if I want that headset on my eyes when that happens because I'm gonna end up peeing myself. So that would be kind of scary, just having that quick that's pretty sad because I have a virtual reality headset that I use to watch movies here at the house, and I've watched some of the shark documentaries and stuff on the Discovery Channel in 3D, and it's pretty damn scary when the shark's like right there. You're like, oh. So I can't imagine being on the boat and having that headset on and that would happen. That would shock me. Might have to bring an extra pair of shorts for if that happens.
Katie, my dear, that's too much information for my dear sweet viewers. But what I was going to say is, how clear is the water?
It depends on the location in the lake. There's places that are clearer than others. When you're out really, really deep, it can be much clearer. It depends on the time of year. This time of year, when it's really, really hot, we get a lot of blue-green algae blooms, which make the water more green. But it's not terribly clear in Lake Champlain, which is totally a disadvantage. It seems like a lot of these lakes that have these creatures are not that clear. Unfortunately, there's a few that are, like Loch Morar. That's a lake that I'm really excited to investigate next year because of the clarity. But Lake Champlain's not that clear, and I wish it was. Loch Ness obviously is not that clear because of the peat content. So no, Lake Champlain's not that clear. It's very, very green. And in the peak season, when these animals are seen, it's very, very green. But sometimes you look out in certain areas where it's a little clearer. In the wintertime, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty, pretty clear. Like I've been out on the ice and dropped a camera down and you can see pretty, pretty well. But that's when the sightings are dying down. That doesn't mean they're not under the ice in the torpor like state, like the snapping turtles and the frogs. There could be a chance you drop a camera down and get video of one. I've been trying to do that, when I was spending the winters up there, but it got kind of old being in the cold up there and being out in 40 below zero weather. I do like ice fishing, but I don't know. I mean, I've done it for so many years trying that experiment and never really got anything. So I'm sticking to the warm the warm months when they're active. But if I go up there in the wintertime on a whim, I will get out there on the ice again. But for now, I think I'm going to stick to the summer months when they're active.
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page and check out our Patreon.
And as the ghost of Joe Strummer, who's an ever more regular visitor to my little studio, says, don't forget to ring the notification bell, otherwise you'll miss the new episodes. And that would be an awful pity, wouldn't it?
They might be thinking about visiting the south. Well, there's things you need to know. The south might seem quaint, but remember, in the south, they drink shandy, they keep cats, they vote Tory, they go to focus groups, they go to wine bars, they're as soft as shite. So if you visit the south, remember, think once, think twice, think soft as shite.
That was a public information film.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I think that Katy deserves a damn great pat on the back for her video. Beautifully done, beautifully created, and I love the animation. I want to say a big thank you to Katy for being my guest this week. And guess what, boys and girls? She's going to be back next week because she's got a new book out and she's going to tell us all about it. I also want to say a big thank you to my producer, Louis, who at the moment is wandering about the southern states of America wearing a big hat. And I want to say thank you to Graham, the Deputy Director of the CFZ, who's also my carer, which means he's the guy who gets me up in the morning, puts me to bed at night, pushes me around in my wheelchair, and takes me to the hospital and makes sure I take my medicine on time, because I quite often don't. And I want to say a big thank you to Gwyn Palmer, the Assistant Director of the CFZ, who, as well as being charming and beautiful, is also the person but for whom the CFZ these days would not continue. And it's very fit and right, dare I say, it's meet and right, as it says in the Book of Common Prayer, for her to fulfill that role, because when I die or retire or both, she's going to take over as director of this ridiculous organisation, and she will be wielding the ringmaster's whip. Or will that make her the ringmistress? Now, I think the idea of ringmistress and whip sounds a little bit sort of Venus in furs. I think we could probably write an amusing version of that song about Guinevere, but I think it would probably be inappropriate. So, I'm going to be back on Wednesday. What am I talking about on Wednesday? I've got no idea, but there are going to be good things afoot, and I'll be back next Saturday with Katy Elizabeth and her book. So, Mr. McCrinnan, are you there? Are you going to be watching the show, Mr. McCrinnan? Because if you are, I'm going to be doing the live chat and the notifications and all the other stuff I do every Saturday afternoon. And therefore, I'll be seeing you. Bingo, bingo, bongo, bingo, bongo, bongo, boo.